All right, thanks, Don, and thanks, Kaz, and the FYI Maths community, Deb, Melbourne. It's lovely to be here and reconnect with everybody in person. So we're going to be talking today about, it's sort of a glorified show and tell, if I'm being honest with you. But we're going to be talking about three prototypical systems that we've built to help us more efficiently manage sometimes quite complex sets of teaching and learning resources. So this is a bit of a gear change from the last talk, certainly. It's probably much more practical in focus. So I'm relatively new, as Don mentioned, I'm relatively new to the School of Maths and Stats at UNSW. I've been there for about 13 or 14 weeks. I've come across from Western Sydney Uni. And Laure has been my very, very helpful colleague in just sort of inducting me into the way things are done in this new school and new culture. And so I was given 4 hours worth of tutorials in term 3 this year. So I started in September, week 1 of term 3. Pretty light duties in these sort of mainstream first year subjects, Math 1131, Math 1231. I was also given some other tasks to make up the rest of my time. And one of those, for example, was to have a look at this vast and growing repository of first year Mobius-based, that's Maple TA-based past exam questions and conduct a review, essentially. That has turned out to be quite a monstrous, in some ways, undertaking.
That's what it means. We have questions.
Yeah. So there are lots of questions. I haven't been able to look at all of them, but in the sort of process of thinking about how to make this task, this review task, more efficient, I thought that I would build a website which would give me and others, including Laure, ready access to the questions, which currently sit in a pretty hard to navigate online content repository within the Mobius system. That then led me to think about other systems. So what we're going to talk with you about today is just these 3 systems. As I say, they are prototypical in the sense that you can even describe them as experimental. So I'm sort of just going to share them with you. Laure has really helped me just kind of be a bit disciplined, because I tend to get a bit nerdy and flowy and go off in programming directions and cook up things that end up being completely useless. And so Laure's helped me to stay real part of the process and do what I'm paid to do, basically. Even though I'll just say this on the record, I have worked some weekends. So I think it all works out.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so here we go. And this isn't all about me. Laure's going to chime in as well. Yeah. Okay, so here are the 3 problems. I'll mention the first one. This enormous, very complicated set of past exam questions. The second one, this is something that's bugged me for many, many, many years. You know, I often spend too much time, I would say, replying to random students' questions by email or in some online forum, and I put together an ornate, carefully wrought, carefully considered response, and it goes off with the ether, and I can remember where it was, I haven't stored it, it's disappeared. And then a year later, what's the answer to the question about principal arguments? Where was it? Because this question I'm getting today is identical to that question I got a year ago. Why can't I just recycle my response? Well, I can't, because it's disappeared in the ether. So the second one is about making sure that these responses don't go off into the ether, and that we have some way of recording them and giving us as educators ready access to them. And the third one is it's a documentation system which takes Laure's really comprehensive, like we're talking a Word document with over 120 pages in it, really comprehensive set of how to notes and guidelines on using the Mobius online assessment system and putting it into some sort of web equivalent, but it's not quite equivalent. So I'll show you how that works.
Yeah. It was getting a bit hard to navigate. I was storing everything that looked useful, but in the end, when you have 100 pages, it was starting to be a problem. And just to come back to the first one, every term, so these Mobius exams are in first year, and the lecturer rotates a little bit. So we ask them to participate in the exam. And now that we have hundreds of questions, sometimes they come with an idea and they don't know how to put it in Mobius. And the first thing is, does a similar question exist? It was not that easy to find one. And so then you say, well, so now we can find one. Tell them, yeah, this is one that looks a little bit. And so not only can they see what they could do a bit differently, but they can steal the code, because a lot of them are fairly new to Mobius and it's not that intuitive. So they can really rebuild from what we have. So it's wonderful. We're already using it. It's an experiment. The first one is a big success. We have people coming and asking how it can be done. So you can show more, but
well, that's the first one. Anyway,
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks all. Okay, so here's screen grab from the Mobius backend. Here's the actual backend. So you can see that the 1131 pass exams broken down by term and year.
You're out of the
Sorry, and I had to, my task in kind of trying to bring all this together and make sense of it was to go into each of these. You can see now that particular pass exam has within it a whole bunch of questions. For me, reviewing each question, click, preview, etc. Right, quite a bit of work. We're talking in a total of 385 questions. So a ridiculously complicated job and not pleasant. And so, you know, the way I think about these things is, even if I spend the same amount of time mucking around with some programming challenge that's ultimately going to make this more efficient, that's better time invested for me because it's more stimulating. If the result is the same. Sometimes
there is a search function in Mobius.
There is, yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily find everything. And before that, the questions were also spread a little bit, whereas now they're all in one place.
They're all in one place. So let's just cut to the chase there. So this is the website here that we've built. Actually, I think I already got it open here. Yeah. This is the website here. As you can see, there are 385 questions. They've all got a unique ID. Don't want to give anyone motion sickness, but there they all are. This over here is a link to the Mobius question for each of them. This is a link to a screen grab if you just want to do a quick review. You can right-click on the question. This is just work in progress, but you can right-click on the question and dig down a bit deeper. That's just a placeholder for the moment for other things like metrics. So Jonathan Kress, the director of first year, has talked about metrics for each question. He thought that might be a focus for the review. Start with the ones where only 10% of students got it right. Is there a problem? You know, and then work your way through. So that's what that success measure is there. And then importantly, it's got these search capabilities. This is probably one of the most useful things. Yeah. So you can search by keyword. You can search by comma-separated keywords using an and or an or. And obviously you can also search by ID. So that's the way this website works. Proven already to be quite useful. I think Laure's used it. Laure has an acronym TBR, yep, to be reviewed. And so in these notes here, Laure's added a couple of comments and we'll come back to those. We can easily find them and look them together when we have time. Next year, probably.
Yes.
Did you have anything to say?
Yes, I think that the screenshot thing is really good because, for example, if I want to write a question on complex numbers, I can pull out all the complex number question, quickly go through all the screenshot and select very fast the question, which could be a base for what I want to do next. So that's really a time saver.
Yeah, so it helps with review. It will probably also help with exam construction
Yes.
down the track. Yep.
Yeah.
And also with, it can act as a reference for, because you can dig into the actual back end of the Mobius questions, a reference for how to use Mobius to do certain things. Yeah.
So we don't expect everyone to know everything about UNSW. So the comment about it's going to help build exam is really important, because we have invigilated exam in labs where we can put at most 180 students at once. We have cohorts of sometimes 2,000, which means we have several sessions, so it can't be exactly the same exam and so on. So we build several exams for each course every term. Really, when I say we, it's Jonathan Press, and it's a massive amount of work to try to make them equivalent. And, you remove this question, you want one on a similar topic with more or less the same number of marks. And so the database is going to be really useful for that. You can confirm it's online.
And I should say that there's a MySQL database at the back of this, not a fancy one. There's only one table in it. And I've seen examples, Karen, of genuine relational MySQL databases, much more complicated than what's going on here. A little bit of PHP, HTML, CSS, all the usual stuff, not complicated. And me being nerdy about this, would love to share it if anyone is interested. You could even run a workshop or something, but trust me, not complicated. If you've got a little bit of web development chops, you look at this and you think, oh, I can do that in half a day. Okay, so good answers to student questions. Okay, so I think I've already talked about this a little bit as well. Some of these responses, they certainly, for me, they have resale value. So where can I keep them? It's kind of like I was looking for my birth certificate the other day. I've got no idea, because we live in a bushfire. We live next to a national park, and there's a bushfire threat. We're going down to Victoria for the summer holidays. So we need to put everything into a glory box. Well, that includes birth certificate and passports. Where are they? I don't know. So it's a storage question, apart from anything, but then also an access question. So I thought, well, why don't we just plan on building a website, which I'll show you now, is essentially it's a recreation of, for 11311231, it's a recreation of the course notes. In fact, what I did to build this is using the Sphinx documentation building system, which is used for a lot of software documentation, particularly Python. So people who create Python libraries will often use Sphinx to generate their documentation. What I did is I took the table of contents from ultimately the tech files for the course notes, and then I just applied some Python to that, a simple little script, which then created all of the nested directories and files that I needed to ultimately run it through this building system to create the website. So you can see, for example, that 1131 is broken down into two streams: algebra and calculus. Algebra is broken down into chapters. The vector geometry chapter is broken down into sections. The applications, orthogonality and projection section is broken down into subsections, etc., etc. Yeah, so it's all nested. And the sort of main point I want to make here is that at the back end, I've been able to, and I've only done this for sort of 5 or 6 examples, but I've been able to include my responses to student questions. I'm hoping that Laure will eventually give me heaps of her ones, because I know she's got some really great ones. So, for example, we've got this problem here. Here's the problem statement as a screen grab. This is actually a past exam question. Yes. Here's my plain text answer to the student. I ran the plain text answer through ChatGPT, or actually GPT-4, and I gave a long prompt. This is something we're working on together, is how to actually craft the prompt so that GPT-4 converts plain text intelligently into LaTeX markup.
Yeah.
It's actually, I've got to say, like, I'm not a rah-rah fan of this kind of large language model technology, but I'm super impressed. I have to be honest. It didn't really require much context.
Yes, and now that the prompt is ready, it really converts it in something you can copy and paste on the forum, and the LaTeX is displayed as LaTeX.
Yeah.
So it's really copy and paste on.
It is. It's copy and paste, but the prompt has turned out to be important. So, for example, I've said music right before market here. I've said interpret this sort of thing. The T there, in plain text, interpret that as a column vector using the P matrix environment. Initially, it did this for a few of them, but not all of them. All I needed to do was give it an explicit example. For example, this is what this would look like in LaTeX markup. Got it all right. Interpret the mathematical type. So where you think there's mathematical type, use tech delimiters. And actually use these delimiters. Whatever it is, use those ones instead of the dollar signs, because that's better for other purposes. That kind of thing. So it's a pretty elaborate prompt, and it's growing. And the prompt we know could be, at the moment, it's, say 500 words. We know it could be 1,000 words or 2,000.
If you save it and don't lose it, you reuse it.
So here's the tech markup, and these are in little boxes here with a little sort of neat little thing in the corner, which just allows you to grab it, copy it, put it into an email or whatever, put it into a tech file. I've tried to keep everything neat and tidy with these drop-down boxes, and then here, if you want it as the rendered answer, you can download that as a PDF. Okay, so that's pretty much that system. I'll just quickly show you what Sphinx looks like at the back end. So this is, how am I going? Who's got to go? Oh, yeah.
What about my thoughts?
Oh, yeah. Let's just skip to Laure's part. If we can go for 2 minutes. Can we go? Yeah.
So where is your?
You're going to give us.
So did you open the website already?
Not this year.
Okay. So no. I want the
genocide.
There was. Yeah. So basically, this was the 100 pages document that we had. And so this, I'll just show you a few things, with the new version. So for example, since we do a lot of auto marketing, so let's say one thing people want to do is how to give partial credit. So now they could just type, for example, partial credit, and then what will come up, how to give partial credit, and then they will see it was working last night. Okay, so believe me, it was working last night. You can get partial credit, and then they have typos, and you can just take this and then do a copy and paste into your question. And so for many things like that, and it highlights all the words, so it pulls out all the entries there was in this, which has your keyword, which is really useful for people, so, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so yours work and mine doesn't. I'm a bit disappointed by that. Yeah. Well, I guess this leaves some questions open. So and it really depends on the system. Who will use those? For the first one, everyone writing question will, and if they don't, they will. I mean, they come to us as the question. We will point them. I'm sure everybody will use that. For the storing good question, the problem is. For now, it's mostly Jim centralizes the entries, and I'm not sure people will. So I think there's this competition between having something really simple where you store all the good answer in a dirty way, but because it's really quick, just copy and paste, and you definitely save them, or you do it in a very nice, beautiful way. It's important if we want to share good answer that it's easy for everyone to actually put something in the system. So that's something we can first try out. Maybe the two of us and others interested see there is an easy way that we can both contribute and feel that. And once we have something really easy, we're going to invite more people. Also, the usual thing, we don't want this to die the second Jim goes away. So we need to make sure that really a system to maintain all of that. And so maybe Yeah, so the problem is that it really, depending on how many people will contribute, the easiness of inputting things is going to be more important. So some people said, have you thought of wiki things? And maybe that could be another possibility. And also, what could we use it for? I mean, there were these three obvious things, but maybe some of you would realize, especially the not so organized one among you, who would like to have all your stuff organized in such a neat way. And the search function is really, really very powerful. So it's worked very well.
Yeah, the Sphinx system is optimized for search. So it uses really good algorithms. So you can index everything under the hood, you know, in those restructured text files, or share the source files. You can add all these tags and indexes. The system is really, as I say, it's purpose-built for intelligent search. So it's great in that sense. It's perfect for what we need. Sorry.
Yeah, and so when he said trying to make him get real, because of workload, it's a problem we all have. So that's beautiful. It takes a bit of time. So maybe there are some applications for which it's worth it, and others where actually the dirty thing is just so much faster than it's good enough.